an incenter, and a circumcenter. All right, so see these two pictures I have up here. This is still part of the quiz. If I'm going to inscribe a circle, that's a circle on the inside, right? What center do I need? Incenter. Does that make sense, everybody? If I'm going to circumscribe a circle, that's when I'm going to go around it. I need the circumcenter. That's where those words come from. Incenter, circumcenter. Okay, everybody good so far? Next thing we have to remember is if I want the incenter, what segments am I drawing in? What do I have to draw to find the incenter? Angle bisector. So on this one, we're going to do angle bisectors. To get the circumcenter, which one do we need? Perpendicular bisectors. All right, so first I'm going to go through angle bisector. So once again, since the reason I'm videoing this one, I'll put it online so you can watch it again, okay? And I'll tell you guys something later why I didn't post the other video. All right, so I got an angle bisect. A is right here. I make an arc first. Okay, now if I make that arc, I want something in the middle of that, right? The reason I did this arc is I have those 2 points. If I go from this one and that one, that point is in the middle of this angle. So now I can draw in an angle bisector. Okay, so let me do that real fast. Okay, so that bisected that angle right there. Now I'm going to go to another angle, do the same thing. Going to make an arc, like so. Then from those 2 points, I'm going to make arcs out here to find the middle of that. Does that make sense, everybody? So I went there, here, and there like that. That's in the middle. So I'm going to draw that one in. Okay, so I drew that one in, and met right there. So that point right there is what point? What would we call it? That is the incenter. Were you going to say that, Tyler?
No, but I do have a question.
What's your question?
Does it matter when it comes to the compass in the triangle how far it is away from
It does not, because it's all about equal length. So it doesn't matter how far out this one is. When I go from those 2 points, as long as I keep, now, they got to keep them the same, these 2 arcs there, you with me? But it doesn't matter, you'll just be further out there, you with me? So the only problem is if you make it really big, your point's way out there, it's hard to draw. But it doesn't matter how big you make it, it still would be correct. Correct. Now, I'm not drawing in that one. If I did draw it in, what would hopefully happen? It would go through that same point if I did it right. Okay? Now, I'm going to take my compass. Point's got to go there because that's the center, right? And then I'm going to try to touch one of the sides. And if I did this right, okay, when I make that circle, what's going to happen? Yeah, it's going to barely touch. It's going to touch every side at one point. Okay, now if I'm off a little bit, that means my compass moved, whatever it was. Does that make sense? What's the odds of this being perfect? Man, I was hoping like maybe a 5 out of 10, not a 1 out of 10. All right, let's see how I did. You guys think drawing on your paper's hard? Gosh, dang it. Moved on me. Okay, so obviously it was off just a little bit, wasn't it? Now, if we did this, once again, the better you can make it. Now, if you got your pencil sharp, using your point, you don't let it move, you're going to be more exact. Make sure you're using a straight edge. But anytime it moves, like even in this case, if I got a marker that's that wide, That makes a little bit more error. You guys with me? But the idea is if you could draw it perfectly with your compass, then it would touch barely at each point. So that's an inscribed circle. Okay, everybody good with that one? Okay, on this one, circumscribed, that means we need the circumcenter. So we need perpendicular bisectors. Now this one I think is the most fun one. Now there's different ways you can do this, but I'm going to show you the Coach Scott kind of cheating but do it all at once method. You guys ready for this? So I'm going to make a bunch of arcs. So I'm going to show you why first, then we're going to do it. If I wanted this to be the perpendicular bisector, the way we learned it first was I made an arc here, right? Then I made an arc there. It would cross at two places. That's where I draw it. Okay? So what I'm going to do is instead of just doing one side, I'm going to draw in all my arcs. So what I mean by that is when I draw in this first arc here, can you guys picture? I need an arc here, right? But I also need one for this side, don't I? I'm going to make it all at once. This also decreases my chances of messing it up. So that arc right here, see how it's going right there? I'm going to cross it from that point. You guys with me? Then I'm going to go up there and cross it from that point. So I go here. Boom, like that. So I'm going to draw that in there in a second. That's a perpendicular bisector. Then I'm going to go to this one. Make it cross that arc two places. And if I want to, if I keep going, look what happened. I've got all three of them drawn in. So let me go through it, each one. So from these 2 points, remember when I made that arc and this one? Where they cross is the perpendicular bisector. Draw that sucker in there. Okay, that's a perpendicular bisector. I draw this one in. That's another perpendicular bisector. And now, see they cross right there? If I draw this other one in, what should happen? It should go in that same point if I did it, right? Whereas this one is, that's pretty close. Okay? So there's the circumcenter. So for this one now, if I did it right, if I take this compass, put it on that point, and put it on one vertice, or one vertex, I should say, like that. If it was done perfectly, when I go down here, it's barely going to touch every point, like right there. If I did it perfect, I would have done it there, and I would have a circumscribed circle. Does that make sense, everybody? So as you can see, it was close, but I'm off. Well, that one hit pretty decent. This one's off maybe a little bit. I might have been down too far there. That would be a circumscribed circle. Okay? So we're going to try that in a second. But before we do that, look over here on the right. And I want to point this out only because I get tired of grading quizzes and people are writing down things, and I think our brain is confused on what a side is and what an angle is. You guys with me? So you see this triangle here, ABC. It's made up of 3 sides. Would you guys agree? Each side is a segment. So what I mean by that is, if I broke this up into parts, that right there is a segment AB. So if I'm naming the side of a triangle, it would be named, like in this case, AB technically with a segment over it, because that's what it is. This one, see that AC there? See how it's broken up? That is a segment. That would be side AC. That would be side BC. You cannot name an angle with 2 sides. You guys agree when I look at it like that? AB is clearly not an angle, is it? Okay? You can't name an angle with 2 letters. That's always a segment or a line. When I name an angle, now the good news is about all these triangles, you don't have to use a bunch of letters. This right here is angle A. Then I use an angle symbol and I put one letter. This would be angle C. That would be angle B. Are you guys with me on that? So in those problems where they're saying find the largest side, if I'm naming a side, it's going to be 2 letters with a segment over it. If it says find the largest angle, I'm naming an angle. That's when you use an angle symbol. Only when I'm naming a what? Angle. Okay, is everybody good on that? All right, so here's what we're going to do. Okay, you guys are going to flip over to the back of that front page.